Yum, yum!
Greg here from Pixel Fondue. Happy Friday. So this video is going to cover a series of nodes called probe nodes. Now, I think these are really underutilized. I'm going to try and show some what I think are really practical uses for them. And a lot of 3D work, if you've done a lot of production work, I think you'll agree 3D is often just a big exercise in problem solving. So trying to figure out solutions to problems or desires from clients or whatever. And probe nodes are just another tool in the toolbox to solve problems. So this is like a sci-fi door, right? Kind of like the Portal doors. You've all played Portal, right? Or Portal 2, more like Portal 2. Or maybe Portal 1 had these doors too. Anyway, I've got a locator in the scene, and I've got a fall off in the scene here. Again, let me just make this more visible. We'll just use a linear fall off, and this fall off via Falloff Probe is going to drive the animation of these doors opening. Okay, so let's go to the schematic, pop it open here. I know I'm going to need my fall off. We'll add that, and we'll know I'll need my, whoops, don't need the scene node, and I'll need my locator as well, so I'll plug that in, and we'll need a Falloff Probe, so Falloff Probe, bring that in. Remember, we got to bring the channels in on the Falloff Probe, annoyingly, and let's hook this up. So locator, we need our position channels. Just shift click, grab them, drag them in. Position goes to position. Linear fall off goes to fall off. And now our output is going to drive those doors opening. So obviously on this linear probe, anything over at this end near to this locator is 0, but when it gets all the way like this, if you look at the fall off probe channels, the output should be 1, right? So this way, output 0, and this way, output 1. When it hits 1, we want the doors to open. So there's a couple ways to do this. First of all, we need our some channels from these items here. So I've got these two sort of middle guys here. Whoops, not this guy. These two middle pieces are parented to these larger doors. These two middle pieces can rotate around like so. And then the larger doors move open like that, right? So we want to get the rotation, the Z rotation of these guys. Whoops, these guys first. So we want that channel. So let's just go over to properties and grab Z rotation. And it'll bring in both of them at once. So I'll just get the rotation channels there. And then we are also going to want both of these doors, and we're going to want the X position, right? There's X position of that door. And then there's the X position of this door. Now, there's a couple of ways to drive these. I'm going to show you two different ways. One is with the relationship node, which is how you typically do like a driven channel in MODO. I think it has kind of a janky interface, to be honest. This came out probably in MODO 6. But it's okay in the schematic. And then there's a channel remapper node that comes with one of Steve Hill's kits. I can't remember which kit it comes with. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I can't remember which one it comes with. You know, maybe Harry or Selma or something. But buy all those kits, you'll get it. So let's just do a relationship node first. So we'll do a relationship channel relationship node. So I'm going to pop this in. And the input is going to be our Falloff Probe's output. So the sort of the distance to that locator is between 0 and 1. That's what we're going to get. It's not the distance to the locator. It's the value of the fall off in relation to the position of that locator, right? And then the output is going to go into rotation X there. And I'm sorry, rotation Z of both of these little center pieces. We want it to rotate 180 degrees when it gets to 1, right? So when this guy gets to 1, we want these guys at 180. So we can take our guy here. Now we get this, again, sort of this janky looking interface. I actually prefer to just open up the graph editor at the bottom. And you can see the input output here. And you can see the value here. 0 for both of them we want, and then I'm going to middle click at 1. And when the probe hits 1, I actually want the degrees to be 180, like that. So let's move our probe, or let's move our fall off and see if that works. Again, as the fat end gets to near that locator, the Falloff Probe will return a 1 value, which should, via the channel relationship node, should rotate these guys 180 degrees. So you can see this happening, and there it is. So just a little better view here. There we go, rotating, right? Just the way we want it. Now, we also want it to rotate, be finished rotating before we hit 1 completely. And we want the doors to start opening as soon as it gets done rotating. So we got to do a little bit of work here. So let me just pop open this again. And let's pop open our schematic on the side. Let's grab this guy and under value. We actually want it to be at fully rotated at about 0.5, right? So now when this guy's about halfway there, it's fully rotated. Looks good, right? And then we want to also hook it up to our doors. So let's zoom in a little bit. Again, we're going to do another channel relationship. We're going to spell channel relationship. We'll get that node here. The input will be the same previously. We're going to get the output from our Falloff Probe. And those are going to go both into the X position of our doors here. So I'm going to do right door first. Left door is actually going to be moving into a negative direction, so I'm going to do that second. And so with our value here, again, I think this has to be, let's just see how far we have to move it. So to get all the way over to the side, let me actually unhook this. To get it all the way open, it needs to be about, we'll call it 0.7. We'll call it 0.7. It's pretty good, okay? So we know that when we plug this in, and select this and select our value down here, middle click at 1, and we want the distance to be about 0.7 meters. And so let's take a look at this guy, and as it's moving forward, it's going to be completely open, 0.7 when this hits 1. But we've got this little issue with, we want it to wait until it gets done rotating first. And so again, let's just go to that value, and we want it to stay 0 until it gets just over 0.5, right? Which is when that stuff should be done rotating in the middle there. See what I mean by janky? I just, every time you select that node, these things pop up, and I just, I think Mark Brown did this. God bless Mark Brown. He's a fantastic coder, but I just never liked this. Maybe it's me. You can do all this stuff from here. I just think it kind of sucks. Okay, so again, that keeps popping up because that's selected. So let's just, let's move this in and take a look. We should get the full rotation first, and then it should open, right? So rotates, opens, just like Portal. Whoops. Should probably trigger the playing of a sound effect when it gets to 1 as well. You could do that. You can do that. So again, we're just problem solving. We're problem solving this scene. We're using a fall off, and we need to get this other door open. And so I think the quickest way to do that is we'll just do the same way. We'll just go here, and we'll say, we'll get our gradient. So actually this gradient, if we see what's happening here, if we just plug that in, they're both going to move to that direction. So let's just add a little math node here, multiply node, basic math multiply. We're going to have A be -1 and B be that, and plug that in. So we just sort of inverted it. And as we move in now, this is just going to do its thing, right? Now the cool thing is, because we're using a fall off, I can go to my fall off here and change the decay shape to ease out or ease in and get a smoother playback on that, right? Or a slower playback. I could do ease out and get something else really quick. I can go to smooth. I can even play with this easing gradient down here if I want to, the easing gradient. So pull this up. Gradient is much better as let's just get this tall view in here. So I can also adjust this if I want to, right? So it'd be great if this shape, let me just set this back to linear. It'd be great if this locator in the scene reflected what was going on with this easing gradient. Just saying. It'd be cool. But I could do that and change the effect that way too. I could change it all at once. I don't have to change all those relationship nodes. I don't have to change the graphs in there. I just deal with the fall off, right? I'm just adjusting the fall off values, and then the probe picks up those values, feeds it to these rotations, and transformation channels, translation channels, and there we go. Okay, so got that. Now we're going to move on to, actually, before I move on, let me just show the channel mapper node in here, channel remapper node, and show you how that works. If you want to use that instead of the relationship node, so the channel remapper, again, this comes with one of Steve's kits. Can't remember which one off the top of my head, but I'll put it in the description. And we're going to unhook our relationship nodes. And we're going to just use the channel remapper. And this will just remap channels. It'll just remap a value. So we're bringing in a 0 to 1 value, right? And we're going to remap it from, we want the rotation, right? From 0 to 180. And in fact, we don't want 0 to 1. If you remember, we want it to rotate quickly at about 0.5 of that Falloff Probe's value. So we're going to say 0 to 0.5 is the value, and it's going to be 0 to 1 or 0 to 180 when I rotate this. So I just plug these in. I don't have to deal with that relationship node. I don't have to deal with curves or any of that stuff or that janky UI thing. It just does it. I just think it's a little bit easier to use. Just double click it, and down here I'll do the same thing. I'm going to change it from 0.5 to 1, so it starts at 0.5, finishes at 1, and the output is going to be 0 to 0.7. I'm going to plug this one in here, and I'm going to plug this one into our little -1z here. It'll help reverse it, and we're going to get the same effect. But I just think the channel remapper node is easier to use. Whoops, what did I do here? I want to clamp both of these, and just a clamp, just so you know, it's if I look at this, see how when it goes below 1, it just keeps going. If you have clamp clicked, it's like doing this, just like constant there, like this guy, constant. So it just clamps them, right? Doesn't go above 1, doesn't go below 0, and yeah. So they're both clamped. Plug them in, plug it into our little multiply Z there, and then yeah. So still works, right? I just think it's a little bit easier than these channel relationship nodes, the channel remappers. I think they're pretty awesome. Remapping the values. Okay. I think we get it. I think you can see how you can use this Falloff Probe for animation.
Yum, yum!